From a proto-scientist in the 5th century to one of the most famous concerts of a British queen, we take a look at 10 real people who actually became gods. Number 10. This person named Empedocles was a philosopher and proto-scientist and doctor who lived in Greece in the 5th century. By all accounts, he was a snappy dresser and something of a braggart. All hail, I go about among you, immortal God, no more immortal. Now, that is what he said. Now, he used his knowledge to help others while increasing his own fame. One account says he raised a woman from the dead at a feast. To celebrate this miracle, all the guests fell asleep. In the morning, he was missing. Now, the servants said they had heard a loud voice calling the philosopher away. Thereafter, sacrifices were offered to him as a god. Other accounts have him worshipped for stopping the plague by bringing in fresh water to his city. In the most famous tale of this, the act of becoming a god, he slipped away to make others think he had become a god after healing the sick women, climbing the volcano Mount Etna in Italy, and hurled himself into the crater and burned up. Well, he won't got away with the charade, if not for his showy bronze slippers. One of them was later spilled out of the lava, and his fate was revealed, or at least that of his footwearers. Number 9. Now, yeah, we definitely do know this person. Try to guess. His name is Antinous. Now, in the Roman Empire, it was common for emperors to be raised to god status after their deaths. Mothers, wives, and children of emperors also became gods on occasion. Emperor Hadrian, however, made his young male lover Antinous into an object of veneration. Now, the two were inseparable, even though some homosexual acts were not considered shameful. It was deeply unusual to flaunt such a strong emotional bond. It was a scandal, but the emperor was too powerful for gossip to harm him. In AD 130, he drowned in the Nile under suspicious circumstances. Was he murdered? Did he commit suicide? Was he sacrificed to bring the emperor good health? Now, whether that happened that day, the emperor was so devastated that he erected a city called Antiopolis on the site of his lover's death. Shrines were set up to Antiopolis throughout the empire. Number 8. We definitely all know Father Divine, don't we? First of all, this is what is called Father Major Gelasius Divine. Was born around 1880, founded an independent Christian church in the 1920s. He preached to a mostly African-American flock. When his white neighbors objected to his meetings, he was thrown in jail. 2 days after sentencing, the judge and the court dropped dead. When asked about it, Father Divine said, "I hated to do it." The case and his divine retribution brought him fame, and his followers accepted him as God on earth. During the Great Depression, his peace missions opened across the country to feed people who would have otherwise gone hungry. He also preached an end to racial segregation, and is now recognized as an early civil rights campaigner, despite his unorthodox views on his own divinity. In 2015, only 18 followers of Father Divine remained, all of them over the age of 70. Sadly, Father Divine died in 1965. Number 7. We definitely know the Emperor of Ethiopia, right? The last emperor is named Haile Selassie. Now, he was also known as Rastafari, the incarnation of God the Messiah in the Rastafarian faith. Although he gave Ethiopia a constitution which declared the emperor to be sacred, he was a prophecy from across the ocean that made him a divine figure. Marcus Garvey campaigned for black rights in Jamaica. He also preached Pan-Africanism and said, "Look to Africa when a black king shall be crowned, for the day of deliverance is near." This was taken as a prophecy. When Haile was crowned in 1930, it looked as if deliverance was at hand. In 1935, however, Italy invaded Ethiopia, and in 1936, he went into exile. Now, he returned back to Ethiopia in 1941. Now, in 1966, the emperor also visited Jamaica and was greeted by thousands of Rastafarians at the airport. Defying expectations, he did not deny his divine status, and he remains at the central of the Rastafarian faith. Number 6. We all know, I should say that most of you don't know this dude named Sugawara no Michizane. He was a high-ranking scholar, poet, and courtier in 9th century Japan, who had many positions at court and governed provinces. Convinced that he was plotting treason, the emperor banished him from the capital with harsh Japanese politeness. He was made governor of a small island. There he died. In the years that followed, those who had plotted against the scholar died mysteriously, and the capital suffered floods and fires, plagues and drought. These were linked to the vengeful spirit of that scholar. Now, to placate his ghost, he was posthumously reinstated to high office, and later raised to the status of deity in the Shinto religion. Not known as Tenji, he is the god of learning and scholarship. Number 5. Now, some of you guys may know this Dutch fisherman named Lau de Pallenboer. Now, this dude, who would become known as Lau the Eel Seller, and he claimed the embodiment of God. Apparently, he came to this conclusion at just the age of 29, shortly after meeting an ambitious girlfriend. Now, as the sect grew, Lau's girlfriend became a figure of love, while the god remained the focus of the group. He claimed he was immortal and had the ability to heal the sick. This led to legal troubles when a 14-month-old child of a discipline died because he did not receive medical care. God died in 1968 in Belgium. Despite this, several people still keep their faith in Lau and maintain a website to bring his teachings to the entire world. Number 4. Now, whoever thinks about the inspiration of the mummy? Yeah, the oldest standing monument of cut stone is the stepped pyramid of the pharaoh how am I supposed to say this? Whatever. Well, blank. While the pharaohs of Egypt were seen as gods, it was the architect of this tomb who would become a famous deity. Now, this dude named Imhotep was the pharaoh's chief advisor, a wise man of court, called on to fill many roles. Born a commoner, his lasting gift to the world was the pyramid, which has come to represent an entire civilization. Within 100 years of death, he was seen as a demigod with powers in the realm of medicine. Now, Imhotep would only receive full godhead 2,000 years later under the Persian Empire. Now, believe it or not, in the Greco-Roman world, his temples along the Nile was somewhere around, could be found filled with people praying for his aid. Number 3. Whoever knows this dude is named G.D. Krishnamurti. Believe it or not, this dude was a mystical philosopher popular in the, Theosophy was a mystical philosophy popular in the 1800s and early 1900s. Some Theosophists came to believe that the spiritual entity called the World Teacher would come to lead the world into a new age. In 1911, one Theosophist thought he had found him. As a young man, Jiddu was prone to daydreaming and experienced mystical visions of dead relatives. Theosophists removed him from his family in India and brought him to the West to educate him in the ways which would allow him to change the world. Unfortunately, the Maitreya did not come to believe in Theosophy and left the movement in 1930. He continued to teach his own philosophy, but not to claim he was a god. Number 2. We obviously know George Washington, alright? Yeah, we all know George Washington. Now, believe it or not, Americans had a deep respect for their president, but not as usually seen as a type of worship. George Washington generally stands above his peers as the first president of the United States and the person who shaped early America. If you go to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., you'll be able to look up at the dome and see the great man's face. The painting is called the Apotheosis of Washington. In the painting, Washington is shown flying up to heaven, as well as this symbolic representation of Washington as a god. He is also worshipped as a kami in some forms of Hawaiian Shinto, meaning that some Hawaiians live in Japan. Number 1. We obviously know Prince Philip. Now, most people know him as the outspoken king of, you guessed it, the United Kingdom. Well, he ain't actually the royal monarch. The royal monarch is obviously Queen Elizabeth II. Now, few people know that he is a god. On the island of Tana, a tale was told of the son of the mountain god who traveled across the ocean in search of a powerful wife. This adventurous spirit was supposed to have pale skin. Well, the villagers heard of Prince Philip, who did cross the sea from his home to marry one of the most powerful women in the world. They came to view him as a god. Throughout the South Pacific, belief systems had sprung up from the contact of Europeans with the native inhabitants of the islands. By performing certain acts, they believed that more contact and more cargo would come to them. The worship of Prince Philip is just one form that cargo cults have taken. The followers of the Prince Philip movement still have hopes that he will come to live among them. So, what do you think, guys? What person do you think should be believed as the real god of this? Alright? And also, what other top 10 do you want us to define for you guys next? Let us know in the comment section down below, and your top 10 may be featured in another countdown. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.